Hello, hello. And welcome. Oh, it's not working. Hang on a second. Welcome to the turn. Welcome to turn 5. But I need to get this working. 1 second. You're not currently seeing the screen. Do. It's working now. 1 quick second. Let me fix this error. There we go. Haha, you can see the turn now. Huzzah. Perfect. Thank you so much for your patience and welcome to what should be turn 4. There we go. It's all working now. Now, last turn sparked up some tensions between a set of factions. The custodians pulled some debt away from the Gemini League, and the knights took hold of City Hall, and the redcoats took that as a personal offense. And if it weren't for the mediation of the group, conflict may have arose. But for the time being, at least, that has been avoided. Now, let us find out the order in which you guys are going to perform your lovely actions by pushing this button. Alright, Redcoats are strong at 9. The Patriots are at 4. The group is even stronger at 10. Followed exactly beside them by the Custodians. This is a very exciting race. The Knights also are at a 4. And the Gemini League are also at a 10. Hot diggity dang. So we got the Redcoats definitely here in 4th place. The Patriots and Knights battling it out at the bottom. And we got a 3-tied race at the top between the group, Custodians, and Gemini League. In terms of the NPC factions, the Boston Camarilla are leagues ahead at the front. First Light is at the bottom, and Society of St. Leopold is at the middle. Now, let us find out who of these 3 are going to go first by rolling 3 d10s. The group is the first die, Custodians is the second die, Gemini League is the 3rd die. Alright, so the group is 7. And we have another freaking tie. This is such an intense race. Oh my gosh. Is this the height of this turn? Is this where all the excitement is going to go? Alright. A D10. 2 D10s. Custodians is the first die. Gemini League is on the second die. And the Gemini League secure a 2nd place. I know, right? Never would I have imagined that 9 would secure you only 4th place. You just gotta do better. It's tough competition out here in initiative races. But at the back, we'll see who secures last place. The very sought after last place between the Patriots and the Knights. Another tie. Freaking hell, this race. Oh my gosh. You guys are battling out here. We got the Patriots first die, Knights second die, 2 more D10s. You're joking. Okay, come on. You guys someone's gotta decide here. There we go. The Knights pull forward and the Patriots secure last place. Oh, I'm sweating. I'm sweating. That was intense. Holy cow. Oh, everyone's going to take a wee breather before we carry on to the actions there, because wow, that was that was something. I don't know how you would represent that in your RP, but I would love to figure something out. Okay, so we got up at the front the lovely, lovely group, but before we do anything, we need to apply the many, many assist actions that are occurring this turn. Now, between the Patriots and the Custodians, who are already at a dynamic of 1 status between each other, they are getting an assist from the Patriots to the Custodians, which improves their dynamic by 1 status. That, I think, gets us to our very, very first 2. Not test 2. Just 2. Our very first status 2 of the game. There we go. Oh, yes, actually, that's a very good shout, too. Is it the last month's Congress bill going in effect as everyone is just going flat out as the last month of the laxing of domain legislation is in fact, and everyone's rushing to get in their last wee bit of domain claiming before the time runs out. But this is not the only 2 status we are going to achieve this turn, because the Redcoats are assisting the Gemini League, which leaves us with another 2. And that is not the second, not the last 2. It is the second 2, but it's not the last 2, because the First Light are also assisting the Society of St. Leopold this turn, bringing them up to 2. We have gotten, in turn 4, all simultaneously, our first 3 status 2s of the game. And the status between factions develop a little bit. Yeah. Relationships are getting defined as Congress has their bills, voting rights given to them. Little relationships are getting more solid as it's getting more crucial to be getting on the good side of people. Boston Camarilla has entered a new era for certain. Now, we go to the top of our initiative board after this crazy race to see what it is the group is up to. First things first, we give them their passive, which is a 1 tick per to a long-term project per turn, which goes to their upgrade Gibson House clock. The Society of St. Leopold does not stink. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you mock the Clergy? Is that how you pronounce that word? The Clergy? There's a word in my head and I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but I think I know. I think you guys know what I am referring to. Can the SI stop being friends? If we can't manage it, neither can they. I mean, they're currently managing it. I don't know what else to tell you. So, the group has gained their passive tick, and their first action is to claim domain at Legacy Nightclub, and they would like to spend 2 coin to get a bonus die to it. So they take away 2. Legacy Nightclub is over here. The first domain of Chinatown, which is being obtained by a kindred faction, and it is an interesting place. It's a nightclub, and it provides -1 contempt per turn, as you're able to use the fancy nightclub to smooth relations over between Kindred Society, as you provide them with, well, you have a feeding ground in which that they can provide. Clergery, thank you. Yes, words are not my strong suit, if you have not discovered by now. Hey, those weird vampire guys, I don't like them. Oh my gosh, same. Yeah. They're finding common ground. The government and the church finding common ground against the supernatural. Right. The group, they've spent 2 coin to acquire a bonus die on this action to perform a claim action against on Legacy Nightclub. So we are going to type this in to the clock and create a clock for Legacy Nightclub. And because it is adjacent to their domain, it means it is a 4-tick clock. They are spending 2 coin, which they just did, to acquire a bonus die for this, and rolling tier is what you do when you claim domain. But as this is the last turn of the congressional bill to lax domain legislation, this is the last time the group, or is it? We haven't seen their other actions. We are still implementing the ticks that they gained for performing a claim domain action because of the bill. Alright, 1 bonus die for spending 2 coin for the bonus. Means they roll 2 dice, and that's a 3, and that is 1 tick. Phenomenal work. Let us see what is action 2. Now they have some if-ands, and I'm going to double check them to make sure I am getting them correct. Right. They are spending their second action to claim Legacy Nightclub, which means they get another automatic tick, and I wonder if they're going to complete this clock. And let us see if the age-old curse, is it a curse? I don't know if it's a curse. Maybe it's just a natural law of the world, of the RP world of City of Cards. Oh no! It's only a 2, which is all they needed in order to claim the nightclub, which now go to the group. Look at that. Look at this lovely little 4 block. And that brings them up to 5 domains. And that's the first Chinatown domain that has been secured by a Kindred faction. Yay, it's not a 6. It's not a 6. We didn't waste a 6. Phenomenal. Now, we know what we have to do, seeing that we've done all the actions. We have 5 contempt, which means entanglements. We roll the 4/5 bracket. Let us see. Gain 2 contempt. Phenomenal. Let me just add in the -1 contempt here before I forget, and also put it into my notes, seeing that it's right now, right here, happening live on the fly. -1 contempt. That way it's easier to, pardon me, it is easier to remember. Cometh next turn. So yeah, claiming that nightclub, or perhaps doing the mediation between the Knights and the Redcoats, has gained them quite a significant amount of contempt amongst the rest of Kindred Society. Not to the point where they're being shunned by Kindred Society, but still it's up there, and it's something to keep an eye on. But all in all, not a pretty bad turn for the group, if I do say so myself. And we move on to the successful victors of second place, the Gemini League, who gain 1 XP as their passive from the Dean Winthrop house and 1 coin from the Winthrop Yacht Clubs, because the Gemini League have a very strong hold in Winthrop, gaining them lots of lovely bonuses. Oh, and there's another effect from the 5 sisters that I forgot to add to their lair. So I will do that in the post. Glad I spotted that now. But their first action is to reduce... Well, let's read off their narrative first. The League's actions have caused some resentment among other Boston kindred. We must take action to try and not be ostracized. Indeed, you are also sitting at, is that 7 out of 9? That is 7 out of 9 contempt. Very important to make sure you are not ostracized by the rest of kindred society, because that comes with it some negative implications. And in order to do that, you must roll social. And the occult fanatics, or aficionados perhaps, are not the most social of creatures. So they only roll 0 dice. So here we take the lowest of the 2 dice, which is rolled, to decide the impact of this. Just a fortune roll. And we see, do they get any bonuses? They haven't added any bonuses. I'm going to tap onto the Discord to make sure I haven't missed anything, and I don't think I have. Righty. Oh, I have noticed though there's been a last-minute change in the group's action. I'm going to put into the chat and say I have missed that after you did that, but if you want me to go back and redo it, that's up to you. But we'll carry forward with the Gemini League action. They are not getting any bonus die. And that is a 1. So we take the lowest result. But they are both the same result because the 3 and the 1 are identical in this game. Which means that the reduced contempt action, when you roll a 1, 2, or 3, results in only 1 removal of contempt. Not the best, but something. You have made progress. Now, action 2, and their narrative for action 2 is quite simply put, fight the occult with the occult. They are going... Oh, I'm just checking the chat. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Hawkingis, player of the group. Action 2 for the Gemini League is to fight the occult with the occult, and they are going to claim the Giovanni building. A very... what's the correct word? Notorious location in Boston. And the Giovanni once held it, but the Gemini League have had their eyes on it for quite a wee while, and they have secured a little bit of help in order to do this. And this is where the assist that the Redcoats have provided the Gemini League is coming into effect. The Gemini League are performing a claim action on the Giovanni building, and because of the Omni Parker house controlled by the Redcoats, the assist in which the redcoats provide them doesn't only provide them with 1 die, it provides them a total of 2 dice, additional dice, which means the Gemini League roll a total of 3 dice. So, first things first, we are going to create the clock. Best friends indeed, which is a 9-tick clock, and that is because Winthrop Yacht Clubs has enabled the Gemini League to use the water lanes. So water lanes count as 2 distance away, so that is, whereas this would be 4 ticks if you were claiming this because it's adjacent. This is adjacent, but adjacent through a water lane, so it's 2 additional distance, so that means 5 ticks. And then we go over to Long Wharf. We're talking, oh no, wait, we're going over to Constitution Wharf because it's slightly shorter. 5 ticks, 7 ticks, 8 ticks, 9 ticks. 9 ticks in total to claim the Giovanni building for the Gemini League. So that means I'm using a 10 clock, filling the first one in. Claim domain. I didn't spell claim right, I don't think. Oh no, did I? I did. I should have trusted my instinct. The Giovanni building. Lovely. So, 9-tick clock. The Congressional Bill, which is still in effect for this turn, gives them an automatic tick. And they are also making use of a lot for Salem ability. When performing the claim domain action, you may increase the target's domain scrutiny by 1 to add 1 tick to the targeted claim domain clock. A risky business, considering the domain in which we are talking about here, which has a ticking time bomb in terms of scrutiny. So extra magic on this domain. But it does further the goal in order to claim it and secure it and lock it down. Very risky business being played. But they are rolling 2 additional dice to this action. 3 dice in total. Let us see. That is a 6. The redcoats have came in handy and have granted them 3 ticks to this clock. The GL are screwing with the ghosts, and it's very flashy. Or let's say, let us use the word notable. Their third action is going to be spending their major boon that they acquired on the first turn, which is a 3 dice action, to perform another claim domain action on the Giovanni building, which grants them an automatic tick thanks to the Congressional Bill. And again, they are playing an incredibly risky business, using a lot for Salem to increase the scrutiny of this domain by 1 in order to gain an automatic tick. It only puts them, though, in 2 distance. 2 ticks is all they need to get the Giovanni building, and they are rolling 3 whole dice in order to reach that. I am going to do this. That's 1 dice plus 2. 3 whole dice. Oh god, this is so... I hope it's worth it. I hope you can pull this off in the miracle of diplomacy and magic and mysticism and the occult to complete a 9-tick clock in one go. I mean, I don't know. I hope the GL are sure about this, because they have put a lot of eggs on fire in this basket. Let's hope they make some scrambled egg with it and it's tasty. That's a 5. They have done it. Barely. They have pulled it off. The Giovanni building has been secured by the Gemini League. At what cost? Well, we shall probably see in the future what the extra scrutiny that the Giovanni has brought to the Giovanni has brought, the Gemini League have brought to the Giovanni building may bring down upon them. They have pulled off an impressive feat, not without significant cost. But we'll see how their situation pans out. But first, the immediate consequences of previous actions are going to play effect, as they have 6 contempt, which means we roll entanglements 6 plus bracket. A bunch of lunatics? Maybe. Some perhaps would consider that of the Gemini League. Definitely, considering the contempt. Well done, Gemini. Now you have to clean up. Indeed, wise words from the Patriots, the masters of all scrutiny control. Let us see. Gain 2 contempt and 1 harm to a cohort. Well, the Gemini League do not control a cohort, so they don't get the harm, but they definitely get the 2 contempt. Thank goodness that you guys performed a reduced contempt action, because otherwise you would have gotten a shunned level. That PR control was very much needed to avoid the worst of the circumstances. But the Gemini League have very intense eyes being put on them, as their actions are causing a lot of contempt amongst the kindred societies. Yeah, the knights are maybe the knights aren't so, yeah. The knights may have a PR opportunity here. That's how I'll put it. Now, in 3rd place, and also for some reason very tiny, very tiny. Oop, there we go. Is the Custodians. Yeah, the kindred, the occult stuff. There was a lot of occult happening, and some perhaps aren't the biggest fans. Now, the Custodians gain 1 coin per turn, 1 XP per turn, and their narrative for their actions goeth thusly. Territorial expansion in the center of Boston would have to wait. There were messes closer to home that needed tending to. The garment district had garnered too much attention lately. The narrative there needed to be laundered, and while the rest of the city was bickering, the Custodians kept on working with the assistance from the Patriots, of all kinds. The irony was not lost on the Custodians that the most anarch-leaning of the kindred were the only ones apparently willing to actively hold up the masquerade alongside them. As for the theatre, which was finally to come under Custodian control, just as Basil wanted, Cambridge would be a hub of culture under his guiding pen once more. Their first action, with the lovely assistance of... Oh, no, never mind. Their first action is to claim the American Respiratory Theatre. This isn't being assisted by the Patriots. Probably because the Custodians only need 1 tick here, and the congressional bill does, in fact, give them that tick. But we like to roll with tradition and still roll dice, because rolling dice is fun. And the Custodians, in fact, roll social when they perform the claim action because of deft arguments and rightful claims. So we'll see what their 2 dice would have got them in their a lovely little 4. But they have indeed, Basil has once again taken back what was once his and is now his again, the American Respiratory Theatre. A very prominent history point in KOL, Kindred of Liberty history. And now, actually, the home to one of the Camarilla Courier Services holding areas, which provides them +1 initiative, which may have came in handy in the race we had earlier in the game. But that is only the first of the actions that the custodians are performing. The second action, and this is the one that is being assisted by the Patriots, is the first time this action's been performed this game. It is to disrupt the investigation being performed by the Society of St. Leopold in the Garment District. Now, how does the disrupt investigation action work, you may ask, because this is the first time this is being performed. Well, you roll tier, you reduce the number of ticks on the targeted NPC's faction's investigation clock, and receive scrutiny on a pre-declared domain that your faction controls of your choice by the results. And I am under the belief that they have chosen the power station, the Sowa power station, over here. A good choice, considering it has 0 scrutiny at the moment, for whatever scrutiny they may gain. If they roll a critical, which is not out of the question here, because they are rolling 2 dice, thank you to the Patriots, they won't gain any scrutiny, and in fact, they would have done such a good job that they will lose contempt, because Kindreds are like, good job, well done. If they roll a 6, they remove 2 ticks and only gain 1. If they roll a 4 or 5, they remove only 1 tick and gain 1 scrutiny. But if they roll a 1 to 3, they remove only 1 tick but gain 2 scrutiny. Because you are interfering with the investigations directly done by the SI. And when you get into the affairs of SI, it's very difficult not to then get those eyes brought onto you. But let us hope that the assistance of the Patriots could help prevent the large amount of scrutiny that can potentially be acquired by this action. So 1 additional die. Thank you to the Patriots. And they rolled a 4, which is indeed enough to only gain them 1 scrutiny, and has removed the single tick that was gained by the Society of St. Leopold last turn. And is there a way for me to remove a tick? Haha, there is. And that is that tick removed. And only 1 scrutiny added to there. Domain over here. We get 1 more. Kazai, do you mind elaborating what you mean by that? You get 1 more what? 1 more dice? Is that 1 more dice on top of the 1 more dice already, or are you just referencing the +1 dice for the action? Oh, thank you. Well done. Let me double check the wording that I have down. They want to use 2 coin to add 1 dice. Thank you for pointing that out. Let us see if they get a 6 now by rolling an additional dice. Thank you so much, Kazi, for keeping me right. So that is an additional d6, and it's a 2. So we go with the 4, which is the highest number, which got the effect that was done. But thank you for keeping me on the ball. Perfect. Thank you so much. And we must spend the 2 coin in order to do that. Thank you, thank you. Now, that brings us to the contempt and the entanglements that are brought about via the contempt. No, thank you. Thank you for keeping me on the ball and keeping me on track. That's the benefit of doing this live, is that you guys are able to point out where I mess up. Now, they only have 4 contempt, which means they are in the 4/5 entanglement bracket. And that means they gain +2 contempt. I guess they're not so... I guess the Kindred aren't so happy that the Custodians are directly interfering with SI affairs. They're like, just leave them alone. Stop it. Stop poking the bear. Stop it. Or perhaps... Oh no, I just closed that tab. Let me open this tab. 1 second. I'll put it away, but I'll talk. Or perhaps the Custodians are getting a little bit of extra contempt because they are working closely with the Anarchs and the pro-Camarilla. Oh, let me say the once Anarch Camarilla faction, the most Anarch leaning of the Camarilla factions. Yeah, perhaps that is what it is that has brought down that contempt. I'm just needing to re-establish the order because I misclicked and closed Roll20. And like so. Your patience is phenomenal. As I push buttons in the dark. I guess I can bring you over and you can see me push buttons. It might be a little bit more interesting that way. The Patriots are last at the bottom. The Boston Camarilla are the first of the NBCs. I will check where the Society of St. Leopold are, because I'm struggling to remember, versus the First Light. And also, for completion's sake, let us get the Gemini League over here, in case I need to touch their faction sheet, touch their buttons. There we go. Phenomenal. We were at the Custodians. They gained their +2 contempt from their entanglement action. I'm quickly going to scroll up and see who out of the two. The First Light was last. Awesome. Now that brings us to the Redcoats. One of the sides of the very heightened tensions and a lot of political backroom channel talking that occurred over the course of this month. Let us read their phenomenal narrative among the all phenomenal narratives that have been provided by you guys for your actions. Friendship is unnecessary, like philosophy, like art. It has no survival value. Rather, it is one of those things which gives value to survival. Miscommunication and collective short-sightedness nearly brought about the first conflict between coteries since the formation of the City Congress. Humphrey has organized his political weapons and fail-safes and had them poised and prepared for making the Knights pay for thinking they can overstep the line the Redcoats had drawn. Yet, through discussion, it became apparent that such overstepping was the shortcut for the Knights, for their real goal, Trinity Church. So, for the time being at least, conflict has halted and cooler heads prevailed. But if this pause was mistaken for pacifism, it would be a great misunderstanding. If the knights chose at a later date that they would rather like to keep a hold of City Hall, the Redcoats' ammunition would still be locked and loaded for the occasion. They gain 1 coin as their passives, and their first action was indeed to provide assistance to the Gemini League, which was one of the resulting elements that got them the Giovanni building, which has brought them up to 2. That Omni Parker House has came into quite effect since it's been taken over. Their second action is to reduce contempt, because quite like a lot of the kindred factions among you all, they are also at high contempt with Kindred Society. The Kindred Society is not a big fan of all of you guys, apparently. Well, I think actually the Patriots. The Patriots are 4. And the Knights. I think the Knights, ironically, is at the lowest, which is absolutely incredible, considering the Knights faction as a design in terms of actionability is all about gaining contempt. So their second action is to reduce contempt, and in order to do that, one must roll social. Thankfully, though, the Redcoats are masters at social elegancy and manners and kindness, and also knowing how to speak fancy in their posh British accents. Let us see how they do. They rolled a 6. Phenomenal work from the silver-tongued, red-coated British fellows, and removing 3 contempt from their contempt bar. Society seems to love the Knights. Kindred Society's like, they're great. Or maybe it's like, okay, maybe we had it wrong. Maybe everyone else is the guys we had to keep our eyes on. We don't leave evidence of our crimes. Okay, I suppose. Yeah. I think thus to this point we haven't seen evidence, but we've maybe had a couple close calls. Now we are talking about their final action, which is to spend their trivial boon that they have to claim domain at TD Gardens, and they would like to spend 2 coin for a bonus die for this action. I have thankfully managed to remember about the bonus dice. We certainly break the law, but not in noticeable ways. That's fair. That's a fair obsess. That's a fair assessment of your of your standing. At least you are quiet about it. Now, let us establish a 5-tick clock, because there's something in the way of TD Gardens, but we won't linger on that too much. So this is a nope, not yet. A 5-tick clock. Claim domain TD Gardens. And because of the phenomenal bill that was so expertly passed by the City Congress and has brought great bonuses to the city, only benefits, no contempt, no tension whatsoever to the city, you gain an automatic tick to this clock. And now we roll tier, gaining 1 bonus die because they spent 2 coin to acquire it. And we will see how they roll to do so. They rolled a 5, which gives them 2 ticks, and they are now 2 ticks away from securing TD Gardens. And now we move ourselves on to entanglements. And because of their expertly social ways, they are only at the 4/5 entanglements, contempt bracket. And they gain +2 scrutiny to a domain. Their actions aren't going unnoticed. Now, I need a D5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is what we are referring to there. Rolling a little dice. No. I can roll a d10. Because I still, despite 4 months of doing this, have failed to learn how to roll custom dice. So we are doing d10s, and we're doing 1, 2s, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as individual numbers, if that makes sense, for a d5. And that is a 5. So 1, 2, that's 1, 3, 4, that's 3, 4, 5, that's 3. 1, 2, that's 1, 3, 4, that's 2. Thank you, Emmer. I will learn that one day. 4, 5, that's 3. So it was 1, 2, 3. Faneuil Marketplace gains 2 scrutiny. Yes, I will. What I will do is take a quick screenshot of that to just benefit myself in the future, because I clearly keep forgetting how to do that. Thank you, because clearly I need to learn. Rightio. So, only 2 contempt on the thus far uninteresting SI-wise Faneuil Marketplace. Not too bad of a turn for the Redcoats, if I do say so myself. Progress was made. And now we move on to the Knights. Let me just check. Nope. We are talking about the Knights. Now, the Knights gain 1 XP, 1 coin, and their first action is to claim lineage, which is a domain. Seems quite appropriate for the custodians to claim the domain in which is referred to, which is known as lineage, and they want to claim lineage. I imagine we can make great puns in this. And they are rolling for a 4-tick clock to claim lineage, claim domain. 4-tick clock. That is not how you spell lineage. That is how you spell lineage. They get an automatic tick for the expertly passed, blah, 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 blah. And they roll 1d6. Unless they have trying to learn from my mistakes. Nope. They have not spent coin to get a bonus die. They're rolling 1d6. And they roll a 6. Holy shit. When they needed the dice to do it, the dice delivered. And if the Knights know anything, if the Knights know how to do anything, it is to claim lineage. And now lineage is now under the firm control of the Knights. How fitting. The dice gods knew. Thank you, dice gods, for knowing and rolling with the puns, quite literally. Their second action is to resolve the event in Fort Banks, which is, I believe, over here. And it is a kindred dispute. So some kindred local kindred are having a dispute over something. And the Boston Camarilla are present on the scene. And the knights are going to show up and using their physical prowess and basically sort it out. And in doing so, because of the Boston Camarilla being present, they gain one tick to one of their faction objectives, which is known as Guards Close at Hand. And this is the first time I'm seeing pings. Okay. On the current action in question that is about to be rolled. Let me just confirm that. But first of all, I'm going to go down and read what this faction objective is all about, because this is the first time it's came up. Guards Close at Hand. Let me clear my throat. The Knights have served the leadership of Boston for a very long time. The passing of the Arthurian may have upset the order, but it does not change their duties, nor oaths, nor purpose. Anywhere an important delegate of Boston may go, a knight is sure to follow to keep a watchful eye on their charges. Understood. Thank you. The Knights have informed me that they wish to spend their coin on this resolve event action in order to provide bodyguard service to the Boston Camarilla present at resolving this kindred dispute. It is an incredibly fitting event for the Knights to perform, and it is indeed a physical event, which means they roll 2 dice, but because they spent the 2 coin, they are rolling 3 dice in total. We are going to physical, fortune roll. Do I get a bonus die add thing after this? Yes, I do. And they rolled another 6. Hot diggity dog. The Knights are on a roll this turn. Probably very propelled by the momentum that they got perhaps from the meeting. They have gained 3 coin. They gained the tick for completing a Boston Camarilla event, because their goal here at Guards Close at Hand is to resolve 12 events where the Boston Camarilla are present on the scene. And the Boston Camarilla is indeed present on the scene. This event has now been resolved, thankfully, which means that we can remove the event tag and the event from it, so that no additional scrutiny is added because the event was resolved. Yes, indeed, awesome. Pretty phenomenal work. 3 dice, free coin gained from that, no contempt. Let me double check if it's just no contempt or if there's something else for a 6. Nope, it's just no contempt, just the reward. Yeah, you're pretty. You may be right. Kindred Society may love the Knights at the moment for whatever reason. The Knights are getting a lot of love. They are doing the PR game pretty well. But speaking of the PR game, they still get entanglements like us all, and they are in the 0 to 3 entanglement bracket. They gain 1 contempt. Alright, moving on to the Patriots as our final player faction, who gain +1 rep for their passives. Their first action has a little bit of narrative. I shall do, Emir of the Knights. Because the lineage domain that the Knights gained provides them a -1 contempt per turn, which is pretty handy. Pretty handy. The reason for that is it isn't in the like bio, because I haven't been able to accomplish that. But whereas Legacy Nightclub is a nightclub, which means they can provide you -1 contempt due to like social reasons, Lineage is actually a deep freezing, I believe, like a deep freezing company, which have a load of like industrial fridges and freezers, which may be very handy to, let's say, put away bodies or messes or things away that you might not want the rest of everyone else to see. And thus, if no one can see your problems, no one can be angry about your problems. Moving on to the Patriots, they have gained an additional rep. And their narrative is: one advantage of the last election had an additional to answering what happens when no majority is reached in an election. Henry had voted in favour of the custodians. This made it easier to cooperate in the investigation. The custodians take the lead, and the Patriots follow. The masquerade remains of the highest order. Lineage about to be a vampire packaging plant. Fascinating. Are we packing up the vampires? Or food for the vampires? Let us see. Yes, indeed, due to the narrative that the Patriots have lovely written, between the Patriots and the custodians, they gained status because of the assist action that they provided to the custodians to help interfere with the investigation over here. Their second action is: even if some things are important, the benefits of the last election should not be forgotten. The Patriots, compared to many other factions, have been relatively quiet and have tried to minimize the damage done. But not so this time. They have a goal in mind, and the yacht club along the Charles River is a good means for a solution. They are claiming domain of the Charles River Yacht Club, which is over here, which is a 5-tick clock because 4, 5, and they are making sure that they will not miss out on the congressional bonus that has been happening in this last month before it expires, and the usual restrictions to claiming domain are re-implemented. So they gain an automatic tick, they roll tier, and let us see how they do. They've got no coin to spend, so I hope they haven't written down that they would like to add a bonus tag, because that's not within possibility. They haven't. Phenomenal. I'm paranoid. 2 die, or 2 results, not 2 dice, 2 results, which means they only get 1 tick. They haven't claimed the Charles River Yacht Club yet, but they are 2/5 of the way there. Now, the player factions. Oh my gosh, I nearly let them get away without entanglements. That would not have done, would it? Now, they are sitting at 5 contempt. Probably just for the mere fact that they are anarchs, because indeed, the Patriots haven't done a lot of claiming. They've been very quiet, but unfortunately, due to the fact that they are anarch, once anarch fanatics, but now they are loyal Camarilla, of course. But still, everyone remember the Kindred have long memories and they don't forget. So Kindred are still holding them in contempt. Let us see. 4-5 bracket, 4-5 contempt in entanglements. Ooh. Oh no. Oh. Okay. Alright. Paid shunned level +1 coin. They have no shunned level, so it's just one. To the lowest status faction, or -1 status with that faction. You did have worse contempt, and you are slowly improving. But your contempt has still impacted how one of the other factions views you. Who do you have the lowest status with? Okay, so it's going to be a roll-off to see who it is you lose status. The custodians are not involved in this roll-off because they're at 2, but everyone else you have 0 status with. That means we roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to use the thing to roll a d7. The excitement. Let us see who it is that you guys have pissed off this turn. Alright, let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. It's the group. Something has happened. The group asked you either to pay or you made an offense to the group, and now you are at -1 with the group. Fascinating. Some drama between the two anarch-leaning factions, it may seem, is about. Okay. Now, with that, the player factions are all wrapped up, and we move on to the NPC factions, starting with everyone's favorite faction. Everyone loves this faction, even more than the factions that they belong to, the Boston Camarilla. They gain 2 XP, 1 coin, but they don't because they have maxed out their coin. And they have a little bit of narrative. Richard Dunham, Primogen for the Malkavian clan, rarely steps out from the shadows of his study. So, when he is spotted by a Nosrat or a Ventrue Ghoul outside of court or Primogen council, rumors and speculations are typically quick to spread. The Boston Camarilla would like to resolve the event that is at the Charles River Yacht Club, and they are going to spend 2 dice to gain a bonus action. What is the event at the Charles River Yacht Club? So, an occult curiosity event is occurring at this domain. It requires a physical roll to resolve, and the Society of St. Leopold is also present on the scene. If resolved, this event will yield 2 XP. Interesting. Now, two XP they gain for resolving. They roll their physical, which is 1. They've spent 2 coin to gain a bonus die, which means they roll 2 dice in total. Let us see how much contempt they gain. They roll a 4, which means they only get 1 contempt. Is this the first contempt they... No, it's not. It's the 3rd. Now, we do order of operations. And we see about the entanglements of the Boston Camarilla. They are in the 0 to 3 bracket, and they gain 1 scrutiny to a domain. Now we are going to look at Berklee College of Music is 1. 1 Dalton is 2. The Grand is 3. Red Salon is 4. Let me double check. Can the Prince's Tower gain scrutiny? I believe it can. I just want to make sure. Because the Prince's Tower has some special things as a domain. What am I looking for? I am looking for domain. Prince. The Prince domain operates a little differently from other domains. They cannot be targeted by hunt or remove claim actions. Events do not occur on these domains, but it still gains scrutiny, so it is included in this count. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4. We roll a d4. Is there any other Boston Camarilla domains? I don't believe so. I don't see any. No. What happens if the Camarilla itself gets shun levels? Does that mean we get more people on the Anarch side of things? Maybe. It definitely means that the current praxis is a little bit more despised by the kindred populace. They would basically, but mechanically wise, they gain the same effects as shun would gain you in terms of Actually, let's have a look at them, because I'm not able to rattle off the top of my head. Just for funsies. We are looking at contempt shun levels. Yeah. When a faction fills their they gain a shun level. Yes. Any excess? Shun levels range from 0 to 4. The value of your faction's shun level will determine the effect of some entanglements. We have seen that. The effect that some council votes have on your faction, as well as potentially the impact that an active scenario has on your faction. Kindred rarely forgive, and few will forget. There is no mechanic to reduce a faction's shun level, except through the use of one of the Primogen's abilities, if the opportunity arises through a congressional vote, or in an active scenario. So indeed, that is what happens mechanically. But in terms of narratively, it would be like the Prince's Wheat Bean has annoyed enough of the kindred population for them to have arising issues with them. So we roll a d4 to determine which of those domains. It is 4, which means it is Red Salon. That might be very fitting for certain things. And I will be vague, to be vague and mysterious. We move on. Ooh, pardon me. I'm very hiccupy today. Very hiccupy. The Society of St. Leopold. Who, let me guess, what could they possibly be doing? That is correct. They are performing an investigation action towards the garment district that the custodians so rudely got in the way of. The timer goes up by 1. They have 2 more turns to complete this clock. They've already had their progress back down to 0 by the custodians. But thankfully, they are gaining an assist from the First Light. Thank goodness that the First Light came to the assistance of the Society of St. Leopold. What would we do without First Light? Now, they roll mental, which is 1 dice. They gain 1 dice from the assist action. And they roll a 5, which means they gain 2 ticks. Boo! Boo! How dare they make progress towards their investigation? How rude of the Society of St. Leopold, and how rude of the First Light to help them out. Oop, I nearly let them get away without doing entanglements. They have 2 contempt. Their shun level is already through the roof. Let us see what happens. They gain 1 contempt. Phenomenal. First Light has done their action. We'll increase the timer just so it's even. To do an assist. They have no contempt. They gain 1 scrutiny to a domain. But because the SI are the SI, scrutiny doesn't have an impact. Well, it potentially could have an impact. If there's enough scrutiny, it means that there's like, oh, there's like a kindred on our own domain. We must investigate our own domain. But because this is controlled, this is the headquarters of the First Light sale in the Boston Logan International Airport. The effect of this domain is -2 scrutiny to this domain. Because of the obscene security here. It's super easy to lock things down. So, that is the end of our factions actions. Phenomenal rhyming happening here on the COC Turn 4 stream. We progress the investigation state timers that we have done. What if First Light is scrutinizing themselves? Indeed, what if they have a mole within themselves? I mean, that's not completely out of the question, and I imagine there's a lot of infighting within the government. I'm thinking of hunting at the airport. Not necessarily a bad idea. Maybe not also the great idea. There's pros and also cons for old time's sake. That's a deep reference. That's a deep, deep reference. Now, with the factions all done, we must close the old events that once had happened, and now show you what is happening in turn 5 with, oh no, that's not correct. That's turn 4. Let us change that and update that because that's not correct at all. Not doing well this turn. Done. There we go. That's more like it. No one saw that. Turn 5's events is a decree enforcement event is occurring at the Valenti Branch Library. An occult curiosity event is happening at Hibernian Hall. A kind politics event is happening at Admirals Hill, Mariana. Occult curiosity event is happening at South Shore Plaza. Another occult curiosity event is happening at Seaport Hotel. A kindred dispute event is happening at South Station. Another kindred dispute event is happening at the Red Salon. Another kindred dispute is happening at the South Street Diner, and a masquerade breach is occurring at the Quinn House. That is your events, but that is not the end of the turn. Because next turn is December, which means another congressional session is in order. And with another congressional session means only one thing. Another advisory bill. The Winter 2024 Advisory Bill. Denslin Coates, Primogen representing the Gangrel, has put forward the case that a ghoul census needs to be established and maintained. He merits that in the event of a kindred's death, the census can enable the Boston Camarilla to locate their ghouls and reacquire them to avoid the risk to the masquerade. Others, however, whisper that this is merely a ploy to provide the government avenues of reprimand when a kindred steps out of line. Maybe a Christmas party. Maybe we'll have a Christmas party. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how busy the government is. Perhaps one of you guys could host it this year. If this bill is passed, all player factions and the Boston Camarilla faction will gain +5 rep. That is because, hold on, let me get my notes. All kindred in Boston will be required to accurately provide information on all mortals that they ghoul. Thus, the Boston Camarilla's position of jurisdiction will have been strengthened, and the coteries of Congress will be widely regarded as the pivotal reason for the prince's newfound authority. A determined undertone of how the city Congress will impact the kindred citizens of Boston will have been clearly defined. If this bill is tabled, however, all player factions will gain -2 contempt and +3 XP. And all player factions and the Boston Camarilla faction controlled domains will gain +1 scrutiny. For if the bill is tabled, a silent sigh of relief will be summoned by those not keen on having to provide information that would be mandated of them. City Congress will have fired up a flare, signaling to all that a kindred's ghoul is their concern alone. Kindred across Boston, including the coteries themselves, will be free and perhaps emboldened to ghoul as they see fit. Inevitably, the youth and the heedless will be inspired to take risks, which will bring scrutiny down upon us all. Voting in favour of this bill, as you can see, is KOL aligned. Voting against this bill, as you can see, is Triad aligned, for this bill is stricken along the ethos scale of New England ideology. That is the bill presented to you guys. You will be voting on it starting the 1st of December, and your decision must be made, and the votes must be made by the 25th of December. And yeah, I believe that brings us to an end of turn 4. As someone has pointed out, Christmas is nearly upon us. The height of winter is encroaching. The nights are getting longer. The kindred are able to do more and more as daylight hours are dwindling. What will you guys get up to in December? I guess only time will tell. Have a lovely weekend, remainder of your weekend, you folks, and I will see you guys in the Discord server. All the very